In today's business landscape, customers demand the highest standards, and companies that fail to meet those standards risk falling behind and losing business. Welcome to Nexus Consultancy. We have dedicated over 15 years in helping businesses to implement ISO management systems for improved quality, compliance, operational excellence, and customer satisfaction. Our company's purpose is simple, which is to empower business and people. Our team of experts work closely with our customers to access their needs and create customized solutions that meet their specific requirements. We conduct thorough audits and evaluations to identify areas for improvement and help our customers implement changes that drive success. Our consultants have extensive experience and serve over 2,000 customers, and we stay up to date with the latest industry trends and best practices. Whether you're a small business just starting out or a large corporation looking to improve your operations, Nexus Consultancy is here to help you optimize your operations, increase profits, and achieve your business goals.
Hello. Welcome, everyone. Let's settle down, everyone. We're waiting for others to join. Okay, how are you, everyone? Okay, let me just search screen. Okay. All right. Like to say a very good afternoon to everyone, and happy to see all of you here. Welcome everyone to today's webinar. And the title, we are talking about FSSC 22000 version 6, food loss and waste. And I am Danielle from Nexus Consultancy. What we do Nexus Consultancy is we help business grow their business through the implementation of ISO management system, including food safety management system. And my passion has been always food industry, helping companies like you all establish and implement their food safety management system and achieve their food safety goal. And regarding today's topic, ever since FSSC 22000 version 6 is launched, many of our customers has been asking why food loss is and how to implement this requirement. So today, I'm going to share with you some tips on how to implement food loss and waste requirements. And I hope you will find some inspirations after the webinar. And if you have any questions related to this topic, feel free to post them in the chat, and I will attend to from time to time and try my best to answer them. We also have the Q&A sessions at the end of the webinar, so do stay until the end of the webinar. And yeah, so before I move on, just have a quick check of the sound and the screen. Are you looking at my screen, listening to my sound right now? Is it everything okay? If okay, please, you may type yes in the chat. Okay, thank you so much for your response. All right. Okay, so what we will cover today is first, I'm going to walk you through the big reason why FSSC 22000 has added food loss and waste requirement in the version 6 standard. And after that, we will take a look on the FSSC 22000 clause 2.5.16, which is food loss and waste. And lastly, I will share with you how to implement food loss and waste program based on the FSSC guidance book on this topic. And so why food loss and waste is part of FSSC 22000 version 6? Many of you may have these questions. In September 2015, the United Nations General Assembly adopted a set of 17 Sustainable Development Goals, or we call it SDGs, with SDG 12 looking to ensure sustainable consumption and production patterns. And according to the Champions 12.3 2023 Progress Report, about 8% of all food produced in the world for human consumption is lost on the farm level, and 14% is lost between the farm gate and retail sector, and 70% is wasted at the retails and also food service provider and also household level. So this results in significant impacts on human livelihoods as well as the well-being and the global economy and the environment as well. So over the past years, events such as the Russia invasions of Ukraine, the war, and the COVID-19 pandemic has also made food waste issue even worse by causing massive disruptions to the human food supply chain. So statistics also show that around 1/3 of all food used for human consumption is lost or wasted from farm to fork. So this huge level of inefficiency has economic, social, as well as environmental impacts. So if we convert that into dollar and cent, food loss and waste has cost around 940 billion USD per year in economic losses. So this has serious impact on food insecurity and malnutrition as well. G12, their goal is to seek to ensure sustainable consumptions and productions patterns. And the third target under SDG 12, which is SDG 12.3, aims to halve per capita food waste at the retail and consumer level. So meaning they set a target to reduce about 50%, okay? 50% global food waste and food lost along production and supply chains, okay? So this including post-harvest losses, and they target to achieve it by 2030, which is not too far from now. So reducing this food loss and waste is a triple win. Reductions can save, of course, money for farmers, and we are all from the manufacturing industry, the food industry, know that by reducing the food loss and waste, it can save money for the companies and also consumer level at household. So wasting less means that we are able to feed more, and reductions would also help relieve pressures on climate, water, and land resources. Okay, just because someone has you actually requesting the recording, no worries, we're going to record this, we are recording this webinar, and we're going to share with you the recorded version, recorded webinar with you after the webinar, yeah, so you can actually share it with your friends or colleague later, okay? You do not need to press the record button, okay? All right, so the Champion 12.3 2023 Progress Report actually give rise to further considerations on how food loss and waste affects us all. It's not only it affects the company from the FSSC 22,000 perspective, but it's actually affect all of us in the world. So number one is in terms of food security. So nearly 1 in 10 people are undernourished, and while more than 2 billion tons of food each year never gets consumed. And this is according to the report from Food and Agriculture Organization 2018, as well as the WWF UK 2021. So the second impact, of course, it does impact economy in terms of economic cost, because food loss and waste actually result in more than US $1 billion in economic losses globally per year. And the third impact would be definitely on the environment as well. The production of food that is ultimately lost and wasted requires a land areas greater than China to actually dispose them. So on top of that, food loss and waste generate about 8 to 10% of global greenhouse gas emission annually. So to put this into perspective, if food loss and waste were a country, it would be the third largest It would be the third largest greenhouse gas emitter on the planet, surpassed only by China and the United States. So in fact, according to this report, Champion 12.3 2023 Progress Report, reducing food loss and food waste by half would actually avoid 1.5 gigatons of carbon dioxide equivalent emissions per year by 2050. So this is an amount greater than any current energy-related and industry-related emissions of the country. So let's continue. So this is why food loss and waste is now part of FSSC 2000 version 6, because it can actually help us save money from farmers, companies, and households, and then feed more people. And Foundation FSSC takes the SDG approach to food loss and waste seriously, introducing this new requirement under version 6 now, details the need for companies, so which include all of us here, to implement a sustainable food loss and waste mitigation strategy. And FSSC 2000 actually believes that if where all the company actually put effort into reducing this food loss and waste, we all help to contribute to the achievement of the Sustainability Development Goal 12.3. So our food system cannot be resilient if they are not sustainable, which when I read about this clause, I think about future generations to come, if there will be still food left for them. Hence, FSSC 2000 has added the need to focus on adopting strategies to reduce food loss and also waste. Okay, so the ultimate goal of implementing this food loss and waste strategy is to enhance raw material efficiency to maximize food production while minimizing the food loss and waste. And this is to improve global food security, reduce economic costs and environmental impact, and also support the legal compliance. Now, let's move on to the standards. So the requirements of food loss and waste is defined under the clause of 2.5.16 in FSSC 2000 version 6 book. It is applicable to all food category, food chain category, but excluding category I. So category I is the packaging material manufacturer. So this is not applicable to you if you are from the packaging material industry. And the requirement requires the company to have a documented policy and objectives that talk about your strategy to reduce food loss and waste within the company and related supply chain. But first, let's take a look on the difference between food loss and food waste. Food loss occurs before the food actually reaches the consumer. Example, it happened on the farm and the manufacturing process and during the distribution process. And for food waste, it occurs after the food is sold to the consumer, and also usually it happens at the retails and also households level. Okay, so according to the definition given in the FSSC 2000 guidance document on food loss and waste, food loss occur before the food reaches the consumer as a result of issues in the supply chain. So take note on this, whatever loss and that is occurred during your processing, manufacturing process, which may include production, processing, packing, storage, and distribution, these are all considered as food lost. And whereas for food waste, in the context of FSSC 2000, food waste refers to food that is fit for consumption, but consciously discarded at the retail or consumption. So this, do take note that the food here, essentially the food loss and food waste exclude the pre-harvest wastage. Example, due to environmental conditions, diseases, and agricultural practices. And the food here also referring to food, any product that is intended not only for human, but also for animal consumption and associated inedible parts as well. Yeah, so I have one customer ask me about this. Does it really include everything, or we include the parts that we use as the raw material in our processing line? For example, if you are fresh vegetable to produce your product, and there are certain parts of the vegetable that you don't actually use it as an ingredient in your product, do we count it as food loss? Yes, the answer is yes. So according to the guidance document given by FSSC, you need to count it as part of the loss as well. So another example, let's say you have egg, the inedible part also considered as the food loss, which is the eggshell. And if you're using banana, the inedible part would be the banana skin. Okay. And so this food loss and waste also include if you donate your product to any organizations or you want to actually sell it to animal feed industry. And do take note that the food here include all your ingredients, okay? Any additives that you use to produce your product, drinks, and also pet food. Okay, so this is the scope of food and food waste. And these are some of the examples of why food loss and waste occur and occur at which stage. All right. So, for example, during production's packing process, the food loss actually happen. It could be due to improper packing issues, and then during storage or distribution stages, it could be due to improper forecasting, like we produce too many product and overproduce, and hence the product stay in your warehouse until it has gone expired. So these are some of the reasons why it happened in the factory. And in households and retail level, it could be due to improper planning when they purchase the food, okay, either to use it in a restaurant or at a household level. Okay, so that is not all the requirement that is defined under 2.5.16. Next requirements under the same clause is also talk about we need to control to manage the donated, okay, to non-profit organizations, employees, and also other organizations to ensure that products are actually safe to consume. So I know that many of us actually donate products to charity companies, or sometimes they donate to staff. You can continue to do so just to make sure that they are safe to consume. So we don't want to donate like expired products. Okay. And then the next one is if your company have surplus products or any byproducts intended for animal feed and food, we also need to manage so that there's no contamination issue to the supply chain. So surplus product is the extra goods that produce above the amount needed. And all of this need to comply with any applicable law, kept up to date, and not to have any negative impact on food safety. So example of the law is in Malaysia, we have this Malaysia Food Donors Protection Act, Act 826, which talk about food donor will need to ensure food safety, okay, on the products that you actually donate to those organizations out there. Okay, all right. So I'm going to pause here and ask if you have any questions for me after the sessions or introductions, and also introduce to you the requirements defined in the FSSC 2000 version 6. Okay, if you have any questions, you may type them in the chat, yeah? Okay, Miss Lam? Yeah, you raise your hand. You can unmute yourself if you have any questions to ask. Or you may type. Okay, sure. Thank you so much. Okay, so while waiting for your questions, I will move on first. So next, I will introduce to you how to implement the food loss and waste strategy based on the guidance document published by FSSC 2000 on this topic. Yeah, so in this guidance document, they actually introduce 3 simple steps that you can use to kickstart your food loss and waste strategy. Okay, so number 1 is actually to set the target. Okay, step number 1. And then step number 2, measure. And step number 3, act. So it's not difficult by looking at it. Target, measure, and act. Okay, so step number 1, target. So target is about quantifying your company's food loss and waste. So to do this, the organization needs to establish the scope of food loss and waste. So identify all types of food loss and waste generated in each steps in the production process. For example, starting from your receiving process, storage process, procurement, and then production, processing, packing, finished product storage, distribution process, and so on, as well as the steps in your supply chain within your control in order to establish a baseline or base year quantity. Okay, so meaning to say you need to zoom in into every single processes within your company as well as the related supply chain to see what type of food loss and waste are actually happening at each stage. And then while you're doing that, you need to gather data, right, to calculate how much is the quantity of the loss and waste. So you need to establish the time period over which to quantify the current food loss and waste. Okay, so for example, let's take a look. Let's say at this process, raw material storage, you have actually identified the type of loss that is currently happening in your company is expired raw material. And the period, the time period over that you use to actually measure the current quantity of the loss expired raw material is from January to December 2023. Okay, so the first thing, we need to develop the scope of food loss and waste. Okay, so let me attend to the questions asked. Do the byproduct of the process which sell to animal feed manufacturer consider as food loss? Yes, you will consider as a food loss, and then your strategy is actually to sell it to animal feed. Yeah, that is your current control, current process right now. Okay, all right. Hope I answer your questions. All right. So next, after we have determined the scope of food loss and waste at every single stage in your company, then we need to determine the quantification unit to be used. So do you want to measure them in weight, in kg, or you want to measure volume in liters, or you want to convert them into relevant currency and environment impact? So for example, in RM and also percentage of the greenhouse gas emission. So after you have determined the quantifications you need to be used, the next step is to see your current processes that you use to manage the food loss and waste. Like just now, one of you asked about the byproduct that you actually sell to animal feed sector. That is your current process to manage your food loss. Okay, so for example, another example, it could be you do rework, okay, or you donate it. And for each type of the food loss and waste identified, you will need to actually determine the root cause why it occurred in the first place. So this is to actually get for your next step, which is to plan for improvement plan or preventive actions to actually reduce the food loss and waste in your processes. Okay, all right. So I have another questions for Ms. Lam. Food loss due to nature not counted, correct? Food loss due to nature means maybe got flood or there's any may I have more clarifications on due to nature? What is the example? Is it like flood issues? So accident, okay. Okay, so food loss due to nature, road accident. Okay. Actually, it happens because we need to see where does it occur. So when we talking about the first step to actually determine the scope of food loss and waste, we look at each stage in your manufacturing, including the supply chain. So road accident, it could be happen during the distribution stage. So that is also counted. It need to be counted in. Yeah. So of course, yes. So of course, the root cause of this, then you look into, sometimes it happened due to road accident, then that is your root cause. And then you will need to actually come up with a planning on how to actually reduce the issues. Okay, I know that is kind of abnormal, but all this, it need to be counted when it really happened. Okay. And another one, fish subjected for steaming will have loss. Yes, that's right. Okay. All right. And so after that, we have actually done that. Then you determine the root cause of loss and waste. And these are some of the example, yeah, how it may look like after your determination of the scope of the food loss and waste, and then you also identify what are the current process in place that you already have it to manage them, and you also investigate the root cause of your current food loss and waste happening in your company. So you may actually list down all the processes involved within the scope of your supply chain, and then each of the stage here identify the type of food loss and waste over a period that you wish to measure. Okay, so this could be the example that how it looks like after you have done your calculation. Okay, so once you have determined the scope of food loss and waste, next is to decide which types of food loss and waste generated by the company will be focus area. Yeah, so the thing is, we may identify, determine the scope of everything, but maybe not everything actually is your focus area, because we always want to prioritize our effort to the areas that has contributed the most number, right? So next step is you need to decide based on the number, the data collected, you decide which type of the food loss and waste is actually would be your focus area. So based on the scope that you actually find out, taking into account the type of the food loss and waste and the quantity and also the value. So you can focus on the most quantity and then convert to value the most high value, highest value food loss and waste that are happening in your company currently, and focus on that. And then for each focus area of the food loss and waste, we need to set objective and target, how to reduce them. So measurable objective and target, and also define actions to reduce them. Okay, so when we set objectives and target, you can actually set a short-term objective or a long-term objective. So short-term, it could be to reduce to certain percentage annually or quarterly. Long-term, which may involve more complicated or maybe more investment in terms of the achieving the objective, because you may need to invest certain technology. So you can actually set long-term objective as well over 5 or 10 years. And do consider if there's any legal requirements set or by the industry or by your customer or internally by your company policy. Okay, when you are setting the target. So for example, some of the company, they actually have this food loss and waste initiative where they actually set a target which it will be applicable to all group companies in the world. Okay, so if your mother company or your principals that actually have set that target, do consider that when you are setting your own target. So what we need to consider further is that also whether our government and any local authority has already set standards and targets relating to reduction of food loss and waste, and aim to align with that to the extent possible. So as far as I know, many countries has that target, but we Malaysians, we don't have yet. Correct me if I'm wrong. And so we may also follow the SDG 12.3 targets, which to reduce half, okay, by year 2030. Okay, so this is an example how it would look like by setting the target. So let's say, for example, our objective based on what you have, the data that you already collected just now while you're determining the scope of food loss and waste. You would like to decrease the raw material waste, okay, by optimizing the production process. So maybe during production process, you realize that the number of waste is actually quite high. So you can set the target, reduce the raw material waste by 15%. So this is a measurable target within the next 12 months. So this is a short-term target, okay? And another example, it could be due to packaging efficiency, the lost. So the root cause is because the packaging is not efficient to actually prolong the shelf life, that actually cause product damage and spoilage during transportation and storage. So for this, you can set an objective, example, 20% decrease in damaged products reported by customer within the next 24 months, so slightly longer period, or 10% reduction in reported instances of spoilage due to packaging defects within the next year. Okay, so that example is in terms of food waste management plan byproducts. So maybe you produce a lot of byproducts and you would like to minimize your disposed cost. Currently, your strategy is actually to dispose them. So you may set a target something like 25% reduction in landfill bulk waste within the next 18 months, okay? And then reuse or recycle at least 50% of the byproducts generated during production by the end of the next 5 years. So these are some of the examples of how you can actually set measurable target based on the scope of food loss and waste that you have already identified, and then selected some focus area to focus on. Okay, right. So I received another questions. Does the rejected raw material due to quality issue considered as food loss? Yes, it is. Unfortunately, it's considered. So the effort would be the root cause of this food loss is actually out of specs, right? That's why you need to reject them. So when we have this food loss and waste strategy, we'll need to think about how do we bring down the rejected case. All right, Ms. Lam, you have questions?
Yes, my microphone is back.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, just now regarding to the food loss, right? If a fish, then we do not want the head and the tail part, they all consider food loss?
Yes, it's considered.
Consider food loss.
Yes, that's right.
How are we going to control?
Yes, yeah.
Fish,
I understand that because we really need to use the body part, right? But the tail and the head actually is not part of raw material. So in this ways, what they are trying to do is actually they want you to think about how can you actually use this head and tail, okay? Maybe not by you, but by another industry.
So let's say we sell it to another industry, we consider that one is a food waste? It's a waste to us?
It's a loss.
I put it,
It's a loss because it's not fit for consumption yet. For waste is already cooked and then it fit for consumption.
But we still cannot take it because of the, okay, understand.
Okay, yeah, all right. Thank you so much for your questions. Okay, all right, so let's move on. So next, once we have set the target, and then we will need to define the actions to reduce them. Okay, so it's pretty much like what you have right now in your food safety management system where you set food safety objective, then we need to define the actions. How do we actually achieve the objective? So same thing here. So define actions to be taken to reduce the food loss waste for each of the type of the food loss and waste that you already listed down just now. So including who is responsible to take actions for implementing the actions, any resources that you need so that you can achieve this food loss and waste target, time frame to complete this target, and also any other updates that you needed in the system. Okay, so when we look into the action to reduce food loss and waste, we should look into first, if you can, prevent it from happening at all. Okay, prevent food loss and waste from occurring at all. So for example, if let's say the type of food loss that you identify during the production, majority of them come from rejected issue. So look into that. How do we prevent rejection from happening? Okay. Second type of actions that we can actually look into is rescue food for donation. So let's say currently one of the food loss that you identify in your plant that you would like to control is actually you have aging products in your storage. Then you need to rescue them for donation. You can consider that by connecting the potential food donors, okay, and organizations or food banks, and then this could be one of the strategy. Or distribute to other destinations. So example that Ms. Lam, what you mentioned is that the tail and head of the fish, you can't actually use it because it's not part of your raw material. So you can actually redistribute it to other destinations, which means to other companies or other industry or other organizations to recycle them, to use it as a feed, animal feed, or to create compost, bioenergy, or any natural fertilizers. So these are the meaning of redistribute it to other destinations. Okay, all right. So Mastura, I have a questions here in the chat. What the situations not considered as food loss? What are the situations that, according to the guidance document, is actually they mentioned two things. One is the pre-harvest loss. Pre-harvest means that imagine a farming plantation, and before the food is harvested, if there's any damage due to natural causes, let's say we have typhoon or flood or some kind of agricultural diseases or insects that actually damage the crops, right? That is not considered as food loss, okay? So pre-harvested is not considered as food loss, only post-harvested. And another thing is packaging material is not considered, it's only food. Okay. So is it necessary to set a target if the existing byproducts are already diverted for feed manufacturing? No, because you can actually determine yourself. If let's say currently this is your effective strategy to redistribute the byproduct to another industry, then you do not need to set target for that. You just continue to actually continue this strategy. Unless that you have the intentions that actually we can improve our process to actually reduce the number of byproducts. Yeah, unless you have that intention. Okay, and you can also focus on other areas that will actually bring more value to food loss and waste in your company. Okay, all right. So these are the examples. Once we have the target, then we need to define the actions to be taken to achieve the objective and target. So example, reduce raw material waste by 15% within the next 12 months. So what we can do is implement improved inventory management system and production line optimization. And then to do a monthly audit to track raw material usage and waste. And define the responsibility who is going to implement this action, resources needed, and also the time frame required to achieve this target, right? So this is a typical action plan when we set objective and target. Okay, so in general, companies can actually strategize to prevent food loss and waste from occurring in the factory. And how to do that is you can investigate ways to improve process efficiencies to reduce the amount of product that needs to be downgraded, okay? Or you can improve product development to prolong the shelf life, seek alternative markets for products that do not meet the quality parameters, for example, for rejects, and then review established shelf life and implement effective stock rotation and improve storage. Inventory management is one of the key things to do here because we realize that sometimes a lot of food loss actually happening during the storage phase where there's aging raw material in the warehouse. It could be due to improper forecasting or inadequate planning of the purchasing of raw material. Okay, yeah. And then for retail level, what they can do is actually look into inventory management. So keeping track of the stock level helps in ordering the right amount of food, so which helps to reduce over purchasing, okay, and subsequent waste. And so when we talk about retail and household level, it is also very much about consumer education. So if some of you here are actually in the retail industry, we can actually educate consumer how to actually save food. So for example, how to cook and store food properly and how to do compost. And restaurant can also offer, okay, smaller portions and donate the excess ingredients and prepare uneaten foods to charity. And for your internal staff in the kitchen. So have a healthy kitchen culture and staff behavior. So if you're noticing staff tends to over prepare the meal, right? And also improper ingredient storage. So look into that to actually try to reduce the rejected item at the end, subsequent food waste. And lastly, look into food preservation techniques as well by educating the consumer how to properly store the product, label them, or use any preservation techniques. Okay, so these are general guidance on how to prevent food waste at retail level. So this is the food waste pyramid developed by the UN's Food and Agriculture Organization, which outlines the most preferable solutions to address food loss and waste. So the ideal solutions is prevention and also reduction, followed by repurposing, okay, and recycling, and lastly, recovery and disposal. So the intent is to move waste up the hierarchy, okay? We want to, let's say currently your strategy is dispose or of the rejected items. So what we want is try to move up towards prevention. Okay, so for example, if the waste is currently sent to disposal destination, then what you can do is investigate to determine whether there are alternative solutions to move this waste up, to recover them, to recycle them, and also to optimize them during your production process. Okay, so these are the meaning of the different destination. Okay, all right, so step number 2 is measure. So after step 1, we set the target. Number 2 is now we need to measure them. So measure is about defining the procedures to measure the food loss and waste against your target, your baseline as defined at defined intervals. So let's say you need to measure them on a monthly basis, then you do so. So after that, you monitor and measure the food loss and waste at the defined interval by using a defined technology. So some company, they actually invest technology to help staff measures where they have this AI scale to measures the food loss and waste. So very easy, they just need to weigh the item and then the report automatically come out to convert into dollar and cents. It could convert to a certain percentage that they want to measure. Okay, so if you currently don't have this technology, it's okay, you still can do it in a manual way. All right, and then after that, we need to monitor the current destination. Where do you actually move your the food loss to? For example, to any recycle center, or you sell it to any animal feed industry. So you need to monitor your current destination. After that, evaluate the results to determine if you have achieved your target or not. Okay, so that is step number 2 to measure. So the last step is step number 3, act. So this is where we take actions based on the results that we have measured, where it has been identified that the target has not been met. Let's say we don't achieve our target, then what we need to do is investigate and determine the causes of the target not being met, and then implement suitable solutions to address this. So it's just like any other objective that is set in the management system. When objective is not achieved, we'll need to investigate the root cause why it is not achieved and propose action. And if let's say you have achieved your objective, and then you still can further evaluate the current quantity of your food loss and waste, whether you want to set a higher target to further improve that. Also, you may consider any other better destination to determine whether you can further reduce them, and also any other alternative destination, which is according to the hierarchy just now, you move up the hierarchy. Okay, so this is what we do in step number 3, actions. Okay, so next I'm going to share with you some case study that I actually researched. This company, I think we all know, IKEA. So IKEA has this target set for the food loss and waste. They want to halve the food waste by 50%, okay, and saved plus 20 million meals in 4 years. And then they actually manage to achieve 50% reductions in combined production food waste in their group stores, contributing to their commitment to actually become circular and climate positive by 2030. So they have now, it's not even 2030, but they already achieved the target. So how do they do that? Is actually they measured and registered using an AI technology and smart skills, where they actually, the staff can collect data of what is being wasted. And then also they will also go into research R&D to see is there any other solutions to actually repurpose the unavoidable food waste into energy and nutrients. Okay, so this is how the skill looks like. So in the first phase of the program, they introduced these smart skills used to measure the food thrown away in their IKEA's direct operations at the restaurant, in the kitchens, the bistro, and also their food markets. So co-workers use the skill to weigh the food waste, they categorize it, and then they identify the reason behind the waste as well. Okay, so as we talked about just now, when we measure, we also need to investigate the root cause. Okay, so the system can actually help them to calculate the cost of the waste. Okay, so using these methods, they are able to identify the common factors behind food waste more easily and develop solutions to reduce them. Okay, so their key success factors are actually when implement this food loss and waste strategy is they set a clear goal, and this goal is communicated throughout the entire organization within the global stores. And then the management is fully engaged to achieve this goal, and hence they can actually inspire and engage their co-workers to also contribute to achieving this goal as well. And one important thing that we can learn from them is once you have started your measuring, you set the target to reduce and then measuring them, sharing the results with everyone, okay, what you have achieved, that would help to also engage the staff to contribute to achieving this target within your organization as well. And most importantly, they also introduce simple tools, okay, to make it successful. So in summary, how they actually meet the food loss and waste standards requirements is they come up with a strategy, this action plan. They have decided the time frame when they set the target. They decided on the focus area to reduce this is they focus on the food and also the inedible parts as well. And these are the destinations they have already determined where the loss and waste can go. Okay, and then from there, they set monitoring and then techniques and use certain tools to measure that. All right, so this is overall what I would like to share with you on how can you implement food loss and waste strategies in your company, not only to comply with FSSC 22,000 version 6 new requirements, but also to contribute to the achievement of the Sustainability Development Goals 12.3. Okay, so that is all about my sharing today. And I would like to invite you if you have any questions, okay? You may type them in the Q&A or you can unmute yourself. No questions? Okay, hi, Dorina. Okay. Water used for cleaning and sanitation. No, it's not considered lost. Because it is not, it is the food loss and waste here the food are referring to the ingredient additive. So if you use water as an ingredient, then yes. But this water is used for cleaning and sanitation. Yeah. How about when flushing the production system prior start to production? No. It's not. So I think the focus will be more on the raw material that you use, the product that you produce. Okay, so Amelia, you have the questions. What to include in documented policy? Is it compulsory to have food loss and waste as safety and quality objective? Okay. So the policy statement is something like our food safety policy. And for example, like in ABC company, we aim to reduce food loss and waste at every stage of our food supply chain to whatever. So you can set your strategy in that policy. So it's the commitment level, like you intend to reduce them, and then you set measurable objective, and you also educate your staff, and then you involve your stakeholders in your supply chain to work together to contribute to this goal. So some kind of your commitment, okay? So the last time when I went to IKEA store and eat my breakfast there, I actually saw they actually publish it on their cafe wall. So I actually sent a picture, but sorry, I'm not able to share with you today. But they actually put down in a very simple words, they want to do this, they want to reduce food loss and waste, okay? And then the objective, some of the objective I'm not sure, may be similar to what you already have in your safety and quality, like maybe you have quality objective about reducing production wastage 20%, yeah. So that actually align with this food loss and waste, so you can use the same objective as well. So if not, then you can set new one, okay? And for another questions, for food industry, we'll only have policy and objective related to food loss. Food waste is not applicable. Food waste, if let's say you don't produce food that is actually fit for consumption, let's say your product is a raw material that you sell to another food manufacturer, then yeah, food waste is not applicable. It's only food loss. Okay, sure, Ms. Long will share the presentation material, after the webinar. Okay, so if you have further questions, you can email us and ask. And I would like to announce that we offer free 30-minute FSSC 2000 version 6 consultations today for everyone that's attended today. You can scan this QR code and to register yourself. So it will be done online. So in this 30-minute sessions, you can ask any questions related to your version 6 implementations, or maybe you want to focus on food loss and waste. You're welcome to do that. And I would like to also announce our upcoming webinar in April, which is on 16 April 2024, greening your business, putting the E into ESG with ISO 14001. So you can scan the QR to register. And if you're not able to do so, no worries. We'll also send the invitation to you. Okay, so thank you very much, everyone, for attending. I really hope that you gain some useful information from here, and then so that you can implement it at the later stage in your implementation. Thank you. Bye-bye.